Brandon, you know what I've learned in the past 2 weeks? I've learned that college football is a mess. And much more importantly, I have no grip on the ability to shovel snow. I just can't do it. It's
Oh my
not
god.
something I have in me. I'm not well prepared mentally, physically, whatever you want to say. I'm not prepared to shovel snow. And something
Nope.
about it, it just does not sit well with me. And so here we are, the last person in my neighborhood have not shoveled the snow from my parking spot, but my Wrangler is holding up well. And it is what it is.
Oh,
And I'm not going to shovel it. And we're going to wait until it melts. But frankly, the amount of snow that we got that turned into ice, I'm just not prepared for it. I was just not prepared for it at all. How did you do with the snow?
not great, considering that I'm a Michigan man too.
No,
Like it
you're
was
not.
pretty embarrassing. I was
Stop.
pretty embarrassed. It was pretty embarrassing, Like I should be better equipped for this thing. I did the thing that all the normies and the casuals do. We put a little salt, on
You
the
actually
driveway
went
right
out of your
before.
way. You put salt.
I
That's a
put
very
salt the
adult
night
of you.
before.
Brandon, I'm
Thank you,
actually
thank you,
really good work.
thank you
I'm
very
very
much.
impressed.
Did not help whatsoever,
Really, it just
at all.
it went right
Nope.
on top of it and it was
No, well, right on top, and it was just a brick. It was a brick of ice
I wonder,
overnight. I
did
mean,
it help you
that was
shovel at all?
rocks. It was
Or
rocks.
maybe
No.
that's what his purpose.
I
Okay.
waited too long. I
Oh.
waited too long. I didn't shovel when it was powdery. That wasn't a good idea. And then I had to get my car out of a parallel parking spot,
Oh,
and
did
I
you
had
get
to, yeah,
like?
that.
Did you get
Oh,
shoveled in a little bit?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I heard that
It
was an
wasn't
issue
fun.
for the street
It wasn't
parkers.
fun.
Not great.
But we made it. We made it. I remember they said that we were going to get another snowstorm. Thank God we didn't, because I don't know if I would have been equipped for that.
Yeah, we are not prepared. Honestly, as the region that we live in, no one in this region truly is prepared for the snow. They're just not. When
But then
one,
you have those guys. There's always one guy in the neighborhood who has like the snowblower,
yeah, the tryhard.
and his
It's not gonna be
driveway,
me.
the try hard. I just ordered a shovel off Amazon the night before. They got it arrived.
You know,
Not
that
a
is
couple nights
insane.
before.
That is awesome
But,
that was able to
yeah.
happen. I
Yeah.
I ended up getting one from Ace Hardware, but that was my third stop of the night, and that was the night before the snow came. And the Ace Hardware was packed, by the way. And they definitely premium that price a little bit. I didn't say
Oh,
anything.
yeah.
I'm gonna give it to you.
Oh,
It's my
yeah.
local Ace Hardware. Enjoy it, guys.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
really, you don't need to charge me $40 for a plastic shovel.
Nope.
Um, all that being said, I'm working on it. We're gonna be more prepared for next year. I do have a shovel now. I have gloves. So we're,
There you go.
I feel like those are all the pieces. They're all there. We just need to
Year by year, brick by brick, baby. We'll get there.
brick by brick. God. Year by year. Speaking of years, this upcoming year,
Mm,
transfer portal has kind of closed out. What's the date? It's the 5th of February. We waited a little bit. It's been a couple weeks.
Yeah.
We missed you guys. Two fans, one pod. I am Alex. This is Brandon. Honestly, I didn't want to talk about. I fought with Brandon. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I fought with Brandon to talk about the transfer
did.
portal because a part of me mentally is not. I can't really accept the fact that it's done. Some part of me really truly feels like there is going to be one or two still major plays that will happen before kickoff. Even though technically, I mean, spring portal apparently is not a thing anymore. There is one portal window. There is no more spring portal. So we have this point now. I mean, I think everything is supposed to be solidified. No one's really moving.
mm-hmm.
What me and Brandon did, so we looked at some of the big schools, and we're going to do a couple waves of this. But we looked at some of the big schools, and we took a step back, and we're going to actually analyze, did they do a good job? And do we feel like they have a potential to hit the playoffs? That's going to be the standard. Because that's what the standard is now in college football, is your ability to make playoffs. Whether it's through conference championships or whether it's through record, you have to find a way. I'm going to start with one of the teams that I feel like has a serious run to go as deep in the playoffs as they did this year. They were national championship contending, and that was with Carson Beck at the helm.
Mm-hmm.
You guys, Carson Beck, we have said it before on the pod. This guy is, I mean, he's just not it. Carson Beck, can I ask you a serious question? If he gets,
Mr. Inconsistent.
if he gets drafted, if Carson Beck gets drafted, where do you project him at? Just being honest, fully transparent.
Which round? He's got to be a day 3 pick, like so round 4
I mean,
to 7.
late.
If I had to, yeah, exactly. If I had to choose like around from there, like, I mean, QBs always get drafted earlier just because of the position, but I would say like even then, I would say like round 6, round 5 maybe, but really I see like a round 6 pick, and I feel kind of, I don't know. I could see Nuss going before him. I could
Oh,
see Klubnik
absolutely.
going before him.
Absolutely.
I could see maybe even Chambliss. I mean, dude,
James is a
the
big
way he
guy.
ended his
He's a big
college
guy.
career, the
And
way Chambliss
he's
ended
got
his
wheels.
career,
Oh
like
my
he's
gosh.
got, yeah. He's a little bit undersized, but like the
He's got
playmaking
experience
ability and the
though.
confidence and the experience and like
Hmm.
just the way he plays, like I could see him going earlier for sure. Will he be successful? Will any of those guys be successful? That's a different story. But where are they getting drafted? Carson Beck is
Late.
definitely one of the last
He's
picks.
a late boy,
Yeah.
and that's what it is.
Yeah.
So Miami, it feels like now that they have Darian Mensah, which they finessed the hell out of. I had no
Insane.
idea. I had no idea. This guy
Insane.
was literally ink blood signed with
Yep.
Duke, and he was able to get
Yep.
out of it. This is today's day and age of college football. It is what
The Wild
it is.
Wild West.
Darian Mensah at the helm. They have some crazy pickups in the portal. A bunch of top 25 guys that were available. Damon Wilson and Edge out of Missouri. I mean, they have playmakers, and they have arguably a top 5 wide receiver in college football as well, who's coming back.
Yep.
Give me a realistic. This is your team. I kind of rode the
You know I love
bandwagon
them.
in the playoffs a little bit because I love the way
Yeah,
that they
yeah,
play
yeah.
in the trenches. But this is your team. You tell me. They've had a lot of losses here. They have a lot of round 1 NFL talent loss. And this is a
Yeah.
team that is completely revolves. Mario Cristobal's whole mentality is I need to get the most talented people. I want to go back to the 2000-2001 Miami team. The most talent possible on the field, and they'll find a way to win. With how much talent he's losing, does Miami have a chance to come back to the playoffs? Number 1.
So I think the biggest worry is the defensive side of the ball for them because they're losing Messidor, they're losing
Bang.
Ruben Bain, they're losing a couple pieces in their secondary, I believe. I believe Basanth, maybe. I think he's also eligible for the draft. So that's really where the question marks is. I do see that they address the D line with Damon Wilson, which is a huge pickup in the transfer portal. I mean, he was one of the best edges in the portal. And they also got another 4-star D lineman, Jarquez Carter, which is also another big pickup. And then Keanu Davis, the D tackle out of Nebraska. So they did get a couple guys to fill in those spots. I think Miami, they've proved the past 2-3 years that they are equipped for the new age of college football when it comes to plugging and playing through the transfer portal. As far as the linebacker core and just like, I mean, I can't say that these pickups are going to, fill the gaps of Ruben Bain and Messidor leaving just because of how elite that unit was. That was the best D-line in college football. So I can't say that that's going to be the best D-line in college football once again until we see it. Do they have the ability to be a top 5 D-line unit? Of course, without a doubt. It's Miami. I think that the defense is finally like kind of found its identity and they're playing like that old school Miami team that which is the reason why we love Miami. They were the ones that, gave them the identity and all that. And they found that swagger. But yeah, so I think that they did do a good job of plugging and playing certain guys. Moving on to the offensive side of the ball, they got 3 4-star wide receivers in the portal. So that's going to be huge to pair that along with Malachi Toney. And then, of course, you got Darian Mensah now, too, which is, I mean, that's one of the best quarterbacks in college football, in my opinion.
Literally
Really,
one of the most fun to watch. He's one of the most fun to watch. He's going to put up 400 passing yards.
Electric.
He just will.
He's
He'll find a way.
Electric. It's going to be so fun watching them. And that offense is well equipped. They also have Mark Fletcher coming back, I believe.
Oh, wow.
Which is huge.
That is massive.
Huge for them.
That would be
like
incredible.
the way that they established the run game in the championship. He was the reason why they were in that game, that championship game. Him and Malachi Toney. Those, you know what I mean? So
that offensive line was
I do
disgusting.
see. They're making another playoff run for sure. They should. The expectation is that they win the ACC without a doubt. Without a doubt.
I get nervous. When I hear sentences like that. You know me. I mean, it's tough because the ACC is what are we? We're freaking broken records right now talking into the mic. Yeah, it's a garbage conference, and it is what it is this year. Granted, I don't think the talent disparity. I just think the fact that they all kept beating each other and no one came out on top. Yeah. And the one team that ended up making a deep playoff run didn't even go to the championship, your conference championship. What a whack conference. The scheduling is messed up. I mean, I don't know. Anyway, talent disparity is not great. I think Mario Cristobal has proved himself. He's proved himself that he can win playoff games. That's the most important thing. I think the ability to not only make the playoffs, but having playoff wins on your resume now, he's a legitimate head coach. I am not going to question him anymore. I have questioned him in the past because I've seen him fumble games on the road randomly and like the most random losses that are just so detrimental to your season because of you hanging in by the balance being in the ACC like you are. So I don't know. I look at that team and I think, yeah, Miami, they made a run. They had an incredible offensive and defensive line, arguably the best in the country as a tandem when you think about being in the trenches.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, they're losing all of them. Maui Noah's gone. Bain is gone. Mesidor's gone.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think Miami is going to be one of those teams that everyone looks at. Darian Mensah, remember when he went to Duke, everybody was like, yeah, Duke. And hey, for the record, I mean, Duke ended up going to the ACC championship and they won.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, congratulations, Duke. But you were 7-5, buddy.
Yeah.
I mean,
there were expectations for that squad. There were big expectations
and they
for
won.
that squad.
And you know what? Congratulations to Manny Diaz. Seriously, incredible that he won the ACC championship. But again, you were 7-5. It was complete happenstance that you ended up being in that position anyway. So I look at that team. I think they lost way too much. I think Miami's going to have very high expectations, just like you said. I don't think they're going to beat them. I just think it's going to be way too high for this team. I've seen,
no, I understand.
I've seen those expectations crumble. I don't have faith in that team right now. Again, love Mario Cristobal on that team and the group.
And it's like last thing I want to say is like you could say that I mean they truly were the second best team in college football. Like if you just look,
that's what it was.
Let alone just look at the run that they had. They beat Ohio State. They beat Ole Miss, which is not easy. That was an insane game
in the first round of the play. It was just crazy. And
Ole Miss beat Georgia. You know what I mean? Like they played legit opponents, and they handled Ohio State almost. In the first half, they were handling them, and they gave Indiana like one of their toughest fights throughout this whole season.
Yes,
you know what I mean. So the expectation is really high. Will they replicate it?
I don't have faith. I just don't have faith. There is one team though, and since we're talking about national championship contenders, we have to talk about Indiana. But this is, if you want to talk about one team that I have full faith in, just want to go through some of their pickups in the portal, okay? Granted, they're losing a ton of guys, including D'Angelo Pons, who was like, I think he was like the heart and soul of that defense. He was the poster child.
Yeah.
He's a short guy, right? He's like 5'9", 5'10". Mm-hmm. I mean, he is like, that is the poster child. Someone who just like is so good that it doesn't matter. His stature, all that kind of stuff. Let's talk about some of these pickups. Nick Marsh.
Huge.
AJ Harris.
Your boy.
Turbo Richard.
Yep.
Josh Hoover.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, these are starters. These are day one starters. These are people
on some SEC teams.
Are veterans.
Yep.
These are veterans. AJ Harris would go decently in the draft if he I mean, what I see right now is and I'm a bandwagon. Call me a bandwagon guy. This is a repeat national championship contending team right here. Mm-hmm. I have no question about it. We talked about this on the pod. Josh Hoover. Fun fact about Josh Hoover. The first most RPO passes thrown in the country.
I was going to say it. Yep.
Was Fernando Mendoza. Second most, Josh Hoover. This guy is ready. It's not about his stature because he's not a crazy big guy. He's not Fernando Mendoza. Mm-hmm. He's not a 6'5" like monster who's gonna run downhill too and die for his team. I mean, I don't know. He might. Josh Hoover. You might have that dog in him too. Prove me wrong. But I've seen Josh Hoover at TCU. He makes the right reads. He's a quick thrower. He's accurate. He's sharp. He has good placement. I think that guy. I think his name was Jonathan Dwyer. That wide receiver he had that they picked up from FCS. I mean, they had a hell of a season together as a tandem. I am so excited. Turbo Richard. I mean, you're taking him from a school as incompetent as Boston College. It is a tale as old as time. Officially, we have reached that point in college football. We can pick up people like Fernando Mendoza from Trash Cal, and he has a very wildly mediocre dude. That Fernando Mendoza that I saw last year was a completely different quarterback than when I saw at Cal. Insane. When they went into that deep in the fourth against Miami a couple of years ago against Cam Ward. I'm going to tell you, Indiana's making a national championship run. Talk to me. Do you disagree or agree?
I do agree. I don't think that like they found their formula and they're sticking to it, and it really like
It's dynasty
they
time.
figured it out. They figured it out. It is dynasty time, you know. They got their big names. They got Josh Hoover, who's a perfect replacement for Mendoza. You talked about it, how well he's going to fit in that system. Nick Marsh, that's going to be a huge addition to that wide receiver room. I believe they still have Omar Cooper as well. I know that Elijah Surratt is leaving. No disrespect to Elijah Surratt whatsoever. He is a hell of a player. I mean, his contested catch ability and all that, but he did have some trouble creating separation. And I think Nick Marsh is going to address that. And this wide receiver room is going to be more dynamic than it was this previous year. And then, you know, I think we'll look at what they did with a bunch of guys that they got from JMU. You know what I mean? They put the whole league on notice. And through that, you know, now you have guys transferring in from legit programs. And I know that these guys are older cats as well, too. So I mean, it's just better personnel that's coming in than they previously had. You know what I mean? Not to knock the personnel that they had, but I'm just saying the caliber of players that they had transferring in comparison to the caliber of players that they have transferring in now. I don't know if they're going to have the same success as those players, but I mean, these guys are coming from more legitimate programs than previously. You know what I mean? And they're also, you know, they're sticking to that model of getting those older guys, those veterans. So I don't see a reason why they don't make another deep run. You know what I mean? Kurt Signetti, as much as it is the players, 100%, you know, the head of the snake cannot be ignored. Kurt Signetti has a philosophy. He built a culture, and my goodness, it is so successful. And it's a blueprint that all these other coaches are trying to replicate. Now, we said this. He is the reason why all these other coaches are getting fired.
Straight up.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's the reason why there was that whole coaching carousel. These guys are getting on the hot seat because this guy got to the national championship with a bunch of dudes from JMU.
Schools are going to go broke trying to find the next Kurt Signetti. They just are. They're going to go completely dry.
And now you have this portal coming in. I mean, you addressed a bunch of your losses. This is going to be a fun team to watch, man. I think that they're going to, they should make another deep run. Absolutely. Absolutely. I would not be surprised if they're in a natty ship.
Yeah, not making the Big Ten championship would be, I would say, a severe underperformance based on roster and what they were able to do year over year at that program. I would say at this point, the expectations of Indiana are going to skyrocket. So it's a completely different atmosphere. You know, I think as a result, teams will also treat matchups very differently with Indiana. I mean, granted, we will have an episode where we go through all the Big Ten projections, just like we did last season.
Like we did last year, the previews.
You know, what we think the over-under on the total wins. We'll go through the matchups and everything because the Big Ten, I mean, some of these schools got so blessed, Penn State, with their schedule. So who knows how it's going to play out. Indiana might have won the transfer portal, but I think a very, very close second goes to Texas. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you, and I'm just saying this because I am a full-on bandwagon of this guy. It took me 2 games. That's all it took, 2 games. Cam Coleman is him. Cam Coleman is going to be a big deal. I think next year we'll be talking about Cam Coleman when we're having Heisman conversation. I think
the best receiver in the portal.
I think with a little bit of a little bit of better quarterback play, we'll say at least from Sark and Arch. I think Cam Coleman is primed right now for a breakout season and has potential to boost himself to be a first or second round draft pick. That's what could potentially happen with Texas picking up Cam Coleman the way they did. Add a kicker on top. Hollywood Smothers. I promise no one watching this episode watched any NC State games. You know who did? This guy, because he decided to put money on them a couple times. Yeah, yell at me in the comments about it. I dare you. But I tell you what, NC State covered. One of the famous ones that we took this past, both you and I took, was when they covered against Georgia Tech late in the year. Hollywood Smothers is a monster. Loved watching this guy play. He will continue to wreak havoc. I think with Texas, with the way they run that offense, I think he's a huge fit. Now, this fills the gap. CJ Baxter leaving was so interesting to me. He goes to Kentucky. It's not even like he goes, he's staying in the SEC, which is awesome. He wants to have that. We can get to Kentucky if you want, because they made some pretty crazy moves themselves. But
they did.
Yeah, but really, I don't know. Take a look at this Texas roster. They lost Parker Livingstone too. I know he was a big name that they were excited about. How do you feel about this roster? How it's kind of shifted?
I think they did a really good job of just upgrading straight up. You know what I mean? They got Cam Coleman, which was huge. I know that the Parker Livingstone situation was really interesting because a lot of folks felt like he got forced out. Well, did he? We don't know. But they did upgrade that wide receiver room. Also, I know last year they were really trusting the offensive lineman that they kind of like recruited out of high school. They had a younger O line. Um, and this year it looks like they addressed a lot of their O line through the transfer portal. And I'm sure
Smart.
that the O line that they had definitely grew and, got better and is more comfortable in that system. So there's that. And then the running back situation, it's interesting, right? Because they had really talented running backs, but they also like didn't
They couldn't
really
perform.
solidify a run game
Yeah.
the whole year. So I mean, I don't know. It did seem like the game plan was lean more towards like a RPO situation. Arch definitely had control of that offense more than the running backs did, but who knows? Maybe they changed their game plan up a bit this year because the two additions that they got, Hollywood Smothers and Raleek Brown from ASU, those are big upgrades. Those are not necessarily upgrades, but those are great additions to the team. Both of those guys are dynamic, can create in space. It's gonna be a fun team to watch again for sure. And Arch, I mean, you and I both agree that Arch did definitely take a second step in the near the end of the season. So we'll see. We'll see. I do think. Will they make the playoffs? I mean, if they don't, it's going to be a really interesting situation.
Yeah.
But they will be better. I think they will be better. They'll be well equipped more than they were this previous year. Just a
Yeah.
more comfortable system, and they got some great additions.
I mean, they finished the season saying like, "Oh my God, we had some big wins, including against." And I mean, like,
And we had a tough schedule, and we
we had
shouldn't
a
be
tough
penalized for
schedule.
playing tough opponents
Yeah,
and all
relax,
that. Yeah,
take
yeah.
it easy. I mean, they really try to
Yeah.
fight. So I think in that scenario, I see next year maybe them getting a little bit of a free ride. So yeah, I'm gonna say yes to them getting into playoffs this year. They might even be the first team to get in with 9 wins this year, depending how their season goes, especially if they beat Ohio State, right? Week 1.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how it goes. I'm very excited to watch this team. I think they got way more athletic. I think the team at least got more athletic, and it'll be more fun. They're a faster team for sure. Cam Coleman, I can't even begin to tell you how excited I am to see this guy play. He is
It's
so
gonna be fun.
freaking good.
Yeah.
So really excited about that, about the program. You know, a lot of people think that potentially the moves that Oregon has made, Oregon is one of those teams that we kind of like let sit in the background, don't we? Like
Yep.
Oregon is just what they constantly and they're silently building these rosters. I don't know how they do it. What is Dan Lanning saying to these kids to get them to come? How are you convincing Dylan Raiola to come be a second string to Dante Moore?
Insane.
How do you convince
Insane.
arguably the best safety, now that Caleb Downs is gone, arguably the best safety in college football, how do you convince him to come to your school?
The best DB. The best DB. And it's insane because also, I mean, his guy was over in Miami. The Minnesota DC that he had so much success with as a freshman was down in Miami. I was really that's where I was expecting him to go. So the fact that they were able to get him over there after they lost their defensive coordinator along with their offensive coordinator, it just goes to speak volumes about how good of a coach this guy Dan Lanning is. And people are saying, that this guy isn't getting the job done, this and that, this and that. Let's not forget the past 2 years he lost to the team that ended up winning the national championship in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's tough.
So it's tough. I'm a big Dan Lanning guy, and they definitely need to find a way to get over the hump. But they made some moves, man. They made some moves. They got Aaron Scott out of Ohio State, who's a great DB. Yeah, I mean, they made some moves. They really did. I really like this Oregon team. I think they're going to make a lot of noise in the Big Ten. I mean, that they got Indiana circled. I'm not too sure if they play them on their schedule this year, but they 100%, if they do match up against them, I know that they're definitely going to be more prepared than they were this previous season. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of eyes on Oregon for sure, on Oregon and Dan Lanning, and he knows that.
I don't know. God, how do I phrase this without sounding like a freaking Oregon hater? Okay. I am a Dan Lanning stan. I think he is an excellent head coach. I think no one in the country hypes a team up better than him. Officially, now that Nick Saban's out too, I know for sure locker room speeches, there's no one like it. I mean, they always show it on College Game Day morning, like what the locker room speeches are. I've just seen the same story over and over again. I mean, I see him, oh yeah, we beat Northwestern by 35. Let's freaking go. Like, oh, I got mad because we allowed a 75-yard touchdown run to Northwestern to end the game, but we only won by 28 instead of 35. What I'm curious about is like how does that mentality not transfer to like the domination that Indiana has? I mean, the way Indiana played that game was we are going to win this game. You're not winning this game. The mentality they had, the pick six off the rip. I mean, it was calculated. Everything was calculated. Everything was read. Oregon is supposed to be this team that is hyper calculated. The short passes, the easy, and
Death by 1,000 cuts.
and by 1,000. That was always their MO, and it has been. My question is, why does it not translate in the biggest games? It always feels like Oregon gets let down. I mean, in my opinion, I look back the last 2 seasons, their biggest win was when they hosted Ohio State, and Will Howard slid with
Goofed.
zeros on the clock. I mean,
Yeah.
and it's a big win. Don't get me wrong. It's a huge win. I mean, massive win.
But you wanted a more dominant. You wanted a more dominant outing.
Why is that domination not translating into the biggest games at the biggest moments for them? Because they got rolled the last 2 years in the playoffs. They just got rolled. I'm wondering, like, at some point, does that shift? I'm starting to lose faith. I'm going to be honest with you. I think Oregon's going to be one of those teams. I mean, granted, they have excellent defense and they just made it loads better. I still don't think they're going to go past even round 1 of the playoffs again. I don't see them, having that consistency in the biggest games and the biggest moments. So, again, not an Oregon hater. I mean, Oregon fans, talk to me in the comments. Do you guys not feel the same? Talk to me, Brandon. What do you think?
No, I mean, I 100% hear you. And I think, not to continue to harp on Indiana, because I know that we're trying to, talk about other
They're the
schools
golden
too,
standard.
They are the golden standard. And I think the one thing that they had going for them that a lot of these other blue blood programs didn't have going for them, not necessarily that Oregon is a blue blood, but, they're a much more notable, prestigious program than Indiana has been, for sure. Indiana had the chip on their shoulder. And I think really, that does play a factor for sure in these games and the way that these kids, approach the game and approach the week leading up to the game. So there's that, and then also the playing field has just been so leveled because everybody can address all their needs in the portal. Everybody can, like recruit. Everybody can dump a bag with the NIL stuff. It's tougher now for a school like Oregon to, cruise by these schools like a school like Texas Tech. I know that they did beat them, but was it a dominant win? You know what I mean? I know Texas Tech really wasn't able to get much going offensively, but Oregon really didn't get much done offensively either. You're on mute.
Sorry, it was a dominant win. It was.
Okay.
On the scoreboard, it's a dominant win.
Yeah.
Obviously, but truly, they scored a touchdown as time expired to make it look more dominant. But it's not really a dominant win. Your defense did excellent.
Exactly.
But it
Yes.
really, people talked about it more like Texas Tech, yeah, you were kind of overinflated a little bit. You didn't really play against anybody, and you kind of proved it, Oregon. And guess what? People doubled down on it because of how Oregon lost the week after. I mean, not the week after, but in the next round. So, I don't know. For me, it wasn't really that dominant of a win, even though it looked dominant on paper.
Yeah.
Oregon, again, we're not Oregon haters, guys. I love Dan Lanning.
No,
I think he's a
that
beast,
program.
an absolute beast.
Yeah.
And I think he's kind of, if we're being completely honest, he's already in that echelon of coaches, especially if a spot was available, like.
I mean, there's a reason why his name was all over the LSU opening.
I mean, and I would say over the next couple of years, as the really big schools open up, Dan Lanning is going to be the first person they talk about. It's just it's impossible because he has put himself into that echelon of coaches. It's years and years of obviously like really excellent and high level gameplay. For me, it just hasn't panned out, and I keep telling myself that program with that coaching staff should win a national championship. I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for the moment.
So it's going to be interesting because there's been some changes on that coaching staff, brand new OC and DC coming in. So we'll see. We'll see how that, that plays out.
Yeah. And we'll see. Hopefully they keep letting me down as a Penn State fan. I am sure you can't wait to talk about this.
Oh boy.
The I would say the most notable of portal additions. A lot of stuff made the news. LSU. LSU has a crazy lineup for the upcoming season. Has an absolutely absurd lineup. I think we've already. I mean, this is why LSU hired him, isn't it? This is why he was hired. This was, I want to say, 90% of the reason why he was hired. I am sure all of these people are excited to play for your boy Lane Kiffin. I want to just go through some of the big names here. Sam Leavitt. Sam Leavitt. This was a kid out of Michigan State who had really not done much, right? Gets picked up by Arizona State. Gets molded into a quarterback that can actually win. I mean, let's not forget the one loss that Texas Tech had during the regular season last year was to Sam Leavitt.
Arizona State.
So this is a quarterback who knows how to win games. And that was a fourth quarter drive that won them the game. Sam Leavitt is an excellent quarterback, and he's going to have an excellent play caller, but he has all these tools around him. Now, Jordan Seaton, who's this crazy, good tackle out of Colorado, the story behind this guy was insane. He basically convinces Colorado to make a hype video for him and then uses that to leverage for offers. I mean, it's actually absurd. We're already in a completely lawless world when it comes to college football transfer portals, but this story was so disgusting. And what's crazy, is I am watching Lane Kiffin come out in these interviews and talk about, oh yeah, I don't really take no for an answer. Oh yeah, I'm going to do basically whatever I can to scheme players to come to my school. And that's kind of the results that you get here. I mean,
it's the Wild West.
It is an absolutely insane lineup that they've picked up from the portal. Multiple quarterbacks. He is smart. He picked up multiple quarterbacks the year before. Trinidad Chambliss ended up being an absolute steal for him. So I don't know. I look at this. I'm almost scared. A lot of these names, I am seeing so many 4 stars and 5 stars picked up. I am terrified, genuinely. Now, okay, I already know what you're going to say. Brandon, I don't want to hear it. Yeah, they're going to go to the freaking playoffs. I don't want to hear it. I want you to tell me genuinely, is this team, with the expectations they have, if they go any less than 10 wins, is the season unsuccessful?
Absolutely. This is the best transfer portal class that we've seen.
It's one of the most
ever.
insane.
Is it not? Is it not? They got 3 5 stars and 11 4 stars.
It should propel the expectations. It's not for me. It's not even a question. If you do not get 10 wins this year, Lane, it is a colossal failure for not only you, but for the entire LSU program that decided that you are worth millions and millions of dollars. The state of Louisiana. The state of Louisiana, 100%. I'm fully on board to go as far as to say that as well.
It's insane. I mean, they got some people are saying the best QB in the portal, and he was definitely a top, one of the top 3, top 5 guys. They got the best edge in the portal. They got TJ Daugherty over from Ole Miss. They got Jordan Seaton, the best O-lineman in the portal. They got a number of other 4-star O-linemen. I mean, they didn't get plug and play guys. They got legit dogs. They got legit stars. They got people that are going to be going in the top 3 rounds, top 4 rounds of the NFL draft. And it's scary for the SEC now. And, to go back on the Texas thing, them making the playoffs, just the SEC in general, this is going to be an insane season.
I mean,
LSU is, supposed to be back. This is supposed to be the year that they at least make the playoffs. You know what I mean?
We're talking.
And then you got Ole Miss, and they look great too. And I don't know. This LSU, Lane killed it. Lane absolutely killed it. He did his thing. I remember everybody was saying that they're starting off slow. What's going on? There was a lot of talk and a lot of noise around why they weren't doing much in the portal, and then he just ended it with a bang, man. Many. They got a bunch of 4-star receivers. My thing is how do you convince this many legit guys to go that would be starters and immediate impact players day one on other teams And now they're going to LSU, and I'm sure they will have an impact, but I mean, there's going to be a competitive depth chart for them. You know what I mean? Like a lot of these guys that are transferring in aren't going to be guaranteed that number one spot. They have four-star wide receivers coming in, and then you have the guys that are already still on the roster. I know that they had some turnover too, but my goodness, dude, my goodness,
it's really scary. But really, the truth of it comes down to you have completely stacked this roster. We haven't even talked about the players they've kept. This was already an absolutely stacked team with their wideouts.
Yep.
I mean, they have, in my opinion, one of the most athletic tight ends I've seen in like a decade, and that includes Tyler Warren, who I'm like obviously a diehard fan of. But Trey'Dez Green is a freak of nature. So I see Sam Levitt, I see Trey'Dez Green, I'm already scared. I mean, that's your team.
Trey'Dez Green. They kept Trey'Dez Green. They kept Harlem Berry. They kept Caden Durham. They kept Whit Weeks. They kept DJ Pickett. Like on the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball, they kept all the guys that they needed to keep. It's absurd.
Anything less, if they do not have double-digit win season, it is an absolute failure for the LSU program. Just saying it. I don't care how stacked the SEC is. I don't want to hear it. Okay? LSU, take that information for what you will. How about a team that had a little bit more drama than I personally anticipated, considering how the Cinderella story kind of evolved? The Ole Miss Rebels. Pete Golding takes over in this period of mass confusion. It is literally like a movie, watching the playoffs this year. Lane Kiffin goes out with a bang. Wow! Have we seen this before? The answer is yes, Brandon. That's a rhetorical question, by the way. I love drama. You know this. Brandon, you know me for so long. I love watching drama in my favorite sport of all time. Do not get me wrong. But it has reached a point where Lane Kiffin gets a little bit too much. Anyway, but what that ultimately did, when Lane Kiffin got all the attention, all this negative attention, what also ended up brewing was Pete Golding kind of silently took over. And people kind of like brushed Ole Miss away. And then all of a sudden, them winning games was like, oh, we're on a Cinderella run. You just beat Georgia? What? No way you just beat Georgia. So Pete Golding has this new like kind of image of just like, yeah, we're like going to win. I saw him on the sideline of that Georgia game, like yelling at his guys, like on defense, like get the stop, get the stop, get the stop. And they got it. So I loved the story. I love the passion, the drama associated with it, kind of the narrative that built out. What the hell is happening? All of that went down the drain. You're texting Clemson players and tampering openly?
Oh, we're going straight into it, huh?
Ole Miss. Ole Miss had a few losses. The big one was Prince Will going, obviously, to LSU following Lane Kiffin.
Him and Daughtery, yeah.
But they had some major pickups and even tried to make a little bit of an illegal pickup, too, which we'll get into in a bit. I'm wondering with the roster that they have, obviously, okay, I'm completely... Trinidad is officially out, by the way. Completely has no chance of playing next year. Second or third court case / like hearing that has, he's been nullified from FBS football, which is totally fine. He's been in it for 6 years. Granted, some of them were for the FCS. They pick up Deuce Knight. I loved watching him at Auburn. When he came in late in the year, he played, I thought he played well. They also lost.
He was a 5-star guy, yeah.
Yeah, and they're losing Austin Simmons. So it looks like Deuce Knight might end up being the starter come next year. Now, I'm looking at some of their other pickups. They have some great guys coming in, a bunch of 4-stars. I'm just thinking right now, I think Pete Golding, I don't think there's going to be a lot of difference in that locker room from Ole Miss year over year. It already feels the way that he tried recruiting. I think his name was that linebacker Farrell. I think the way he tried recruiting him. I just don't know if necessarily this is like the most. That Cinderella narrative is not. Yeah, that Cinderella narrative kind of went out the door for me. I'm not gonna lie to you, because now I look at Pete Golding, I'm like, I don't know, man. That's a little skeezy. Tell me, Ole Miss. Obviously, you said it yourself. We're in a land of lawless football, and it is what it is. how do you feel about Ole Miss? First of all, talk to me about Ole Miss. Are they making another run of playoffs next year, realistically, with these transfer portal moves?
Will they make another run in the playoffs? I don't know. I really don't think so because I mean we have to keep in mind that they had a guy that really kind of put college football just he was it was magic for a second there in the playoffs. With Trinidad Chambliss, and he really just had an incredible year throughout the year, and then he just really topped it off in the playoffs. And we can't forget also that they had a lot of the coaching staff that ended up going to LSU. They had them for the duration of the playoffs. So you have to consider all of that. And now, you have to figure out you have to figure out, how the coaching staff is going to perform going into this year. I know that they got some guys in the portal. They got Deuce Knight. They added some guys to the defensive side of the ball. They got plenty of 4 stars. They got a lot of guys for sure. But will they replicate that success? I don't know because, just the whole SEC just kind of upgraded. And I see other schools in the SEC just kind of more better fit. I mean, more comfortable, more just there's more certainty around these other teams. I know that they have Kawan Lacey coming back, which is huge for them, but they lost impact guys like Caden Lee. Um, it's going to be interesting, and Princewell wasn't the only defensive guy that they lost. They lost Deshaun Womack. They lost TJ Daughtery. They lost it's oh my God. I don't know. I mean, I really loved watching the school. So it's sad to, to think that their demise could be coming. Now, do I think it's going to be an abysmal season? No, I don't at all. Do I think there's going to be some growing pains with Deuce Knight? Yes, I do. Just because the one game that we saw him playing was that Mercer game, and he played fantastic, but it was Mercer. And now he's got to go against SEC talent every single week as the starting quarterback. So that's going to be interesting, and it's going to be fun to watch. Do I think they're going to be another fun team to watch? Absolutely. I think that they're going to have a lot of close games, but as far as them maybe being dominant and replicating the success that they had this previous year, I don't see that happening. And then the whole Pete Golding situation with Dabo Sweeney, I mean, that wasn't a pretty look at all. I mean, and it is happening. You know what I mean? It absolutely is happening. He's not the only one that's guilty of this. We all know that. It's just the fact that he got called out in the way that he did, especially from not just anybody, but from a guy that's a purist of the sport in Dabo Sweeney.
Of course.
And
the Boy Scout.
like that's the Boy Scout. Exactly. And then you already have a guy like Shane Beamer was harping in on the situation the other day, saying that what do we have these rules for? There's got to be some sort of punishment for this. The tampering in the sport is just it's insane right now. It's absolutely insane. Do I think there will be a punishment? No, but I do think that this whole situation will lead to them addressing future issues and future, tampering problems and all that. They need to. They really do need to. But all in all, when it comes to considering their portal class, I mean, they did get like a top 5 portal class, according to 24/7 Sports. So that's really impressive for sure. I just think that it's going to be really tough for them to replicate the success they had due to all the uncertainty and all the noise around them. But Deuce Knight, and I think he's going to be so fun to watch, and I am rooting for this team. This is going to be a fun team to watch.
Why not? We'll be rooting
for
the
team.
You know what I mean?
Kawan Lacey is such a beast for running it back too and staying put. I love that. I love that.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't have faith in it right now. I think
I don't blame you.
With the amount of movement, with the coaching changes that have happened. I mean, granted, they had some lingering ability with the offensive coaching staff too throughout the playoffs. So it was a very interesting situation. The name of the player was Luke Farrelly, by the way, not Pharrell. I just want to take a second to talk about Clemson. Ole Miss, again, love the program. I hope you make the playoffs. My hopes are high. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. Let's talk about the Clemson situation for a second. I want to, we talk about how Dabo Swinney is a Boy Scout. He is a Boy Scout, but he is a story coach, and he has a track record of winning, building a dynasty in an otherwise garbage conference. What has really stunned me about Dabo is his inability to adapt. And I totally understand the perspective of like, oh yeah, I don't want the tampering is like so evident. Look, he got Jackson Dart to call him, and he got freaking Trinidad Chambliss to call him, and he's texting him saying like, oh, how much will give me a dollar amount? Like, I mean, it's so cringe. My question is, I understand, but going to the media, going to the press, and sitting in front of a microphone and then crying about it, tampering is happening all over the country. All over the
Yeah.
country. Shane Beamer come out. Oh yeah, and he comes out and he basically backs Dabo Swinney. But if Dabo didn't come out and do that, Shane Beamer's not saying a word because they don't want to. They don't want to be the narc. That's what they call him, right? Back in the day, they used to call him a narc. Now,
Yeah.
Dabo Swinney, listen. I am starting to lose respect for him little by little because this is a man who is not only not adapting to the current landscape of college football, he is so hard stuck in his ways that he just refuses to adapt. And then on top of that, you're going to tell the teacher about the kids who are cheating. Take it easy, man.
Ooh, when you put it like that.
I mean, I understand. I understand. It's not. It's unethical. It's not right. I mean, the rules are very, very vague right now. Really. I mean, if you want to take a real step back and like start establishing like a real governing body for all of this shit, then yeah, that makes a lot more sense. But going to the media and crying about it, he is calling out names. It's not just like, oh, I have evidence of this happening, and he's being subtle about it, and he wants to let the media know and let them speculate, let them find out on their own. He is literally reading texts out.
Yeah.
I understand it.
And I think, yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
look, Farrelly
Go
signed,
ahead.
he signed up for the school. He signed a contract. It is full-on tampering. I totally get it. But that is happening all over the country. That is happening everywhere. And until they set up a governing body, I mean, what is you going to the media going to help? Nothing changed. Talk to me.
Yeah, and I think that if this was a guy that wasn't just not adapting, like you're saying, then I don't think that it would be as big of a story or as big of like, just like him snitching kind of, because I feel like there's been other, staff members and personnel and just figures in college football that have been talking about this tampering issue and that have even like brought up examples of them. But because it's Dabo Swinney with his prestige and his stubbornness with the new landscape of college football, it's definitely, it looks some type of way and it's getting more attention than it would with other people if they were to speak out about it. And then, if we're going to talk about just him addressing, the portal and all that, I will say this about him. He does do a good job of retention. They only had 13 people leave the school this year, which is honestly, considering how bad of a year that they had, is pretty good. But they only brought in like 9 or 10 guys through the portal, with the most notable one being Chris Johnson Jr., the speedster out of SMU. And that, I believe they're all 3-star guys. Like, they had one of the worst portal classes. I mean, I just what's going on in Clemson is just, it's kind of baffling, and it's tough to watch because of how storied that program and that coach is. This coming year, yeah, you can, he can scream and shout about just kind of the way that things are going and the way that the direction the sport's headed into. But if you don't perform this coming year, then they're going to find a guy that will perform and will, adapt and adapt to the way that the current system is. Because you don't want just that old guy who's screaming at the sky, who's yelling about the olden days. No, you can't do that anymore. You know what I mean? Look at a guy like Kurt Signetti, who's been in this game, who has so much skin in the game. I know that he just started as a head coach, but, he adapted. You have to adapt. It's adapt or die, and especially in this sport. So, I mean, it's tough just to see kind of just the decline of this program. All in all, I think he does have a point in addressing the tampering issue. Now, do I think that, he's in the situation to do that right now? No, because honestly, he should be doing the same damn thing. Like, it's time for you to tamper, buddy. Like, if we're going to be real, like, you could have, if anything, if you did this 2 years ago, if you took this thing more seriously, the way that the direction that this whole thing is headed into, then you wouldn't be in the position you are right now. You wouldn't be kicking and screaming and shouting and crying about, just the situation that college football is in and all that. And yeah, we all agree. You and me talk about it, how disgusting and icky the whole tampering situation is. But that's just what it is right now. It's the wild, wild west. And until somebody enforces some rules and makes some changes, you're going to have to play it. You know what I mean? Like you got to adapt or die. You have to. So that's my whole Clemson, rant, soliloquy, whatever you want to call it.
I love that. I love their soliloquy. Really what it comes down to for me is like is if the nature of football, just like you said, if the nature of football is evolving, we once formerly elite head coaches, I mean, do we take a step back and do we reevaluate them knowing the new landscape? And for me, it's a yes. It's an absolute yes. And Dabo Swinney, for me, is losing respect by the day. And it's stuff like going to the media and crying about the tampering. And it is what it is. And unfortunately, Dabo, who was once, just like you said, I mean, we watched him in the peak of our college career. I mean, he was winning national championships when we were in college, you know?
I mean, all right, like for example, like you look at a guy like Kirby Smart, successful before and after NIL. You look at a guy like James Franklin, up until this previous year, successful before and after NIL. You look at a guy
I'm
like.
I'm gonna stop you right there. I'm gonna no.
But you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. Okay.
Did you just go from Kirby Smart to James Franklin? Yeah, we're gonna have a serious conversation about this.
Throw James Franklin out the window. You know what I mean? Like there's been so many guys that were already legendary before the whole thing opened up, and they adapted. Kyle Whittingham, who's, not to dive into the Michigan guy, but here's a guy at Utah who, you know what I mean, like was doing great before NIL, and he adapted over at Utah, competing against all these other schools that like had way more resources, way more funding. Come on.
I mean, look, Ohio State has done better to adapt to the new landscape than even Alabama. So storied programs aren't even guaranteed. Like Alabama has definitely fallen off since, obviously since Saban is out, but since the portal opened up the way that it has. So I don't know. Let's get a governing body in here. Let's get some loss.
We need Josh Pate, right? We need Josh Pate.
Josh Pate would be an interesting character. If we could just get Josh Pate on the show one time. Josh, if you're out there watching us, please reach out to us. Our inbox is wide open. We are wide open. Fans. Please. Even with Busting with the Boys, I got some choice things I'd like to say to Taylor Lewan, if I'm being honest with you.
Oh, that's my guy, man. Michigan man.
Oh my God.
And Will Compton, love Will Compton, former Redskin, you know what I mean? Big Nebraska guy, he's a great guy. Yeah.
Well, him 1v1ing some troll, I'll send it to you. It's really, really good. I'll send it to you.
Please.
But yeah, I think I like this format. I think we stick to maybe once a week, maybe once every other week. Let's try to keep our fans involved in the season, okay?
Yes.
So we are officially in the off season. The Super Bowl's this weekend. Fun. Just give me a quick, who do you got in the Super Bowl? Patriots or Seahawks?
Ooh. I got to go with the Seahawks. I think the Patriots really had a great season. They're building something really special over there. The fact that they made it back is absolutely insane. Drake May had a rough couple games in the playoffs, but he looks really, really good. The defense is stellar. I just think the Seahawks, that defense is scary. That defense is insane. And then their offense is insane too. They have, in my opinion, a guy like JSN, he should be in conversations for the MVP. Just the way he impacts the game is absolutely bananas. They have that going on. They have Kenneth Walker. A lot of guys over there, a lot of impact guys. And it's crazy to think Sam Darnold going to be the first one potentially in that draft class to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, you wish. What is it? Patriots plus 4.5, right?
I think so.
Easiest bet of my life. Patriots all the way.
Oh,
you kidding me?
I'm not a big Darnold guy. I'm not gonna lie to you, but I don't know. Something's cooking over there in Seattle.
Yeah,
he looks good.
Sam Darnold.
He looks good.
I have my own personal relationship with Sam Darnold after he beat Penn State in the Rose Bowl back in 2016. We don't have to talk about it.
Well, what about when Stephon Diggs beat you guys and didn't shake?
Okay, he had
like
40 yards. He had like 40 yards. I think we're gonna live just fine. No, I am a little bit worried. I am a little bit worried to take the bet, but I like the Patriots. I just like them here. You know me, I'm a dog.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway,
I know.
I
love Vrabel.
Who's taking the favorite in a Super Bowl?
Vrabel is my favorite head coach in the NFL. He's got to be.
The year-over-year transformation of the team is absurd, actually. Another pod episode down. Episode 48, guys. We're getting close to 50. We got to do something fun.
Next, we should do. Yeah, we definitely do have to do that. But next week, we should definitely do kind of like the more sleeper transfer portal classes. Like I'm looking at UVA's transfer portal class, and that one looks really interesting. I'm not gonna lie to you. They got Bo Pribula over there, Brandon Hillman from Michigan. A
Penn
lot of
State
guys,
legend.
a lot of guys over there at
Very
UVA.
cool.
And
Okay.
the ACC, well, you know about the ACC. ACC is wide open.
Wide open. Anyone can win.
Anybody, baby.
Wow. Okay. All right. That's what we'll do. We'll do sleepers next week.
Yeah.
Okay. That's it. That's all we got for you guys. Until next time.
2 fans, baby.
Peace.